It is that time of year again. This is now my third year in doing something like this, and for some reason, I have yet again played more games than I did last year. This year, I got 40 games in this list. This is probably the most it's ever going to be, so I'll try to zoom through all the games just so this won't be like a movie-length video. And so all the games that I played this year, mostly new games that came out this year, are included in this list. There are several games that weren't released this year, but I think they were good enough that I wanted to put them into this personal list of mine. Again, these are the top games that I have played in 2025. I judge them based on like my own general feelings about the game, whether it's the graphics, the gameplay, the story, the amount of content that's in it, the amount of hours I put in them already. I may even place them on the list unfairly on purpose. And so if you think I'm gonna put Clair Obscur high on this list, think again. There were a lot of good games this year, and looking at some of the rankings, it does feel a bit weird and unfair that a good game was placed in 20th place, for example. But I can assure you, it was very hard ranking these games on a personal level, especially when the majority of these games are really good. Again, this is a personal ranking. If I had to make an objective ranking, it would look a bit different. Alright, let's get started with some of the worst games of this year. This was the worst game released this year. I completed the entire game thinking that it will somehow be fun and be able to redeem themselves. I mean, it's an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in feudal Japan. This is something that people have been asking for years. So, how did they mess this up? There's no point in playing this game. Sure, the graphics are good, but after you play the game for 5 hours, you've played everything that the game has offered. You are fighting the same enemy in the same base with the same weapon with the same objective the entire time. Such a boring, lackluster game, and was a complete waste of $70.
People so quick to abuse their power.
Another lackluster AAA product. Another directionless, soulless, expensive game that felt like a chore trying to finish. I was hearing things like, it's the modern Skyrim this, it's the modern Skyrim that, and look, I missed the hype train when Skyrim released, and so I really wanted to play whatever modern Skyrim there is. And for a company that is supposedly known for making good stories, this was boring, predictable, and not exciting in any way. It's essentially a faster-paced Valorant, but I guess for someone like me, there were way too many colors, way too many things, too many abilities, random things, and events going on and around. I mean, like, I'm a zoomer, and I thought this game was too zoomer for me. I mean, being too much or too extra is a style they were going for, but I mean, that instantly just turned me off. Another disappointment for me. Hoping for that one MMO that simulates the animes like Sword Art Online or like Konosuba. I mean, the graphics are really good, but I was met with tons of time gates, whether it was like for character progression, story progression, even exploration progression, all met with a time gate. And if they're doing this off launch, then they'll probably do this with every major update that they do. And so if a game wants to limit how much I can play, I'd rather not play it at all. I never really played a Civ game, really. I played a little bit of Civ 6, but I never really completed a full game, but I did enjoy playing Civ 6. With Civ 7, though, it felt very neutered, very streamlined, and even disjointed at times. I forgot if it was even called ages or eras, but each full playthroughs are split into 3 ages, and each age is kind of like a completed run. But I didn't like how like it resets between ages, and the UI was pretty bad, and especially for a $70 game, it didn't feel entirely fulfilling. I'm pretty sure all the performance issues are fixed, so everything I say right now may be irrelevant, but when I played it at launch earlier this year on PC, it was a buggy mess. My game would constantly crash, memory leaks everywhere, to a point where I would need to reset my PC constantly. It was so bad, I physically could not play the game anymore because my game would run at 5 frames per second a minute into one of the later bosses. And even then, the story didn't really resonate with me, and the new area of New York wasn't really all that special. And look, I get it, New York is just New York, but I feel like you could add certain enemies, events, or whatever that only happens on like that side of New York to make that new area more significant or special with this entry. but I was mostly disappointed with the end result of the game. I was actually initially excited for this game. I thought it was going to be a bit like Final Fantasy 16 with the combat, and I love Final Fantasy 16, and expectations weren't that high, and I never expected this game to be spectacular or whatever, but the story was pretty bad, the level designs were plain, the boss fights were boring, performance was bad, and tons of other small nitpicks. I think the combat was decent, as there's like actual combos that you have to perform, but aside from that, this one lost my soul. I think the game isn't all that bad. Main difference from the first game is that there are character classes to make it more cooperative, I guess? I think it was a miss, honestly, and all the launch progression bugs, and even after they fixed all that, there was no reason to play the game. And I think that's a big thing for a live service game. It needs to have a reason to play that doesn't feel too grindy, and you still feel like you're progressing. Because if you don't have that, then people will gravitate towards other live service games that do that. And yeah, I mean, the guy had a great speech and everything, but this game was not it. My expectations were low going in, and even then, they weren't even met. The new destination is boring visually. The Metroidvania elements didn't work on Kepler. The portal sucks, there's barely any new content. The new progression systems and leveling up was so bad that they pretty much slowly reverted every addition and change that they put into this new expansion. It's just a lot of systems and things that were clearly not thought through or even tested. And it's a shame that they seem to be just throwing trash at the wall hoping something sticks. And so far with this new saga for Destiny, nothing is sticking. One of the most profitable video game companies is giving us nostalgia with the graphic quality of Sonic 06. Gave us a real-time battle system like Xenoblade, but lacked the depth in acquiring skills that benefit in combat to make combat more engaging and fun. The entire setting taking place in one city, and is somehow able to hold all these different Pokemon, rather than making it like Legends Arceus and traveling to different biomes around Kalos, is an absolute miss. From here on out, I thought the games were good, so it was kind of hard to determine the right order, especially if they were from different genres and different production sizes and all that. But I won't judge you if you said you liked any of these like next games and you say that they deserve to be higher. I think this game was actually pretty cool. I never played RuneScape, and I've never really been that into survival games, but I thought this game was pretty cool. Especially with like learning and using spells to make some tedious tasks easy, like chopping trees and traversing and so on. It's still in early access, so I hope they flesh out more stuff, like more world events, more weapons, more skills, more spells and all that. But so far, it's been pretty fun. Yes, I actually started the campaign for GTA 5 for the first time. Yes, I didn't finish it, but in general, a sandbox game like this isn't really my thing, but of the missions that I did do, I thought it was really good. I didn't really like driving and shooting in some ways, but I think that's because of how outdated the game is. I mean, this game came out like 12 years ago originally, and so it didn't really feel all that good to play it as compared to something more recent like Cyberpunk. But the story and dialogue was actually really good and really enjoyable, and I hope it keeps all of that with the new GTA game, if it ever comes out. It's a pretty good party game with friends. It's kind of like Lethal Company and Peak Had Baby, kind of. I think it would be cooler if the world was procedurally generated, so it was different each time. But at least first time through, solving some of the puzzles and roadblocks was pretty fun. Okay, look, I actually don't like Peak compared to other people. It is a popular game, and if you like Peak, I'm not here to tell you are wrong. I just don't like climbing. I think chained together, only up or whatever, is better than this. I think if I had more platforming, I'd enjoy Peak more, but all the climbing gave me PTSD of when I played Breath of the Wild. An indie roguelike game that I actually had fun playing. It's basically Fire Emblem as a roguelike, and that explains the game perfectly. Yeah, the art style is clearly a bit dated and all that, but the gameplay was actually really fun, and the runs can last a while. I do wish that there were like some buffs or currency or whatever that is carried over in between runs, and that they add like a reroll function on character level ups, But other than that, I thought the game was really fun, and I think there's a sequel planned at some point, and I am excited for that. A top-down extraction shooter similar to Escape from Tarkov, but with ducks. It was pretty fun, especially as my first extraction shooter game that I've played for more than 20 minutes, and I really liked building out my base with vendors as I progressed more into the game. And I think if you were into like solo, casual extraction shooter games, then this is a really good option. I played all 4 episodes that were available this year, and I will say, I liked Undertale better than Deltarune. The graphics and combat is a lot better and is a massive improvement from Undertale, but I think the story, the premise, the choices, the music, the boss fights, and everything else was better in Undertale. And maybe it's wrong for me to compare it directly with Undertale, but that's how it was for me. It was a good game, some parts dragging a bit longer than it should be, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. I actually thought this game was pretty decent. As someone who played a lot of platforms already, there wasn't that much that I haven't seen before. The story was alright, and some of the gimmicks and mechanics and features of the platforming was pretty cool. I think what really missed the mark for me on this game was the soundtrack. Many times it was like a generic elevator music, even on a more fast-paced section. And if they had bangers like Elden Ring music against like that Elder Dragon or whatever, basically like all of the fast-paced sections, it would have left a deeper mark for me. But I think the game is really, really good for those that either never played a platformer or haven't played that many platformers. There's a lot of cool little features that, especially if you've never seen anything like it, it's a pretty cool experience. I actually had a really fun time playing Oblivion. Yes, the original came out maybe like 2 decades ago. Yes, the game functions basically the same as it did before with all like the jankiness and everything. And yes, the game looks really good in Unreal Engine 5 graphics. The world looks gorgeous, the character models look pretty, and this was my first time playing Oblivion, and what really impressed me was how interactive the NPCs were. I'll be waiting behind a church, just waiting for the NPC to go to its spot for a quest, and the NPC notices me, diverts from its original pathing, and walks over to me to talk to me about the quest. It actually scared me that this NPC started talking to me unprompted. It was cool, and it made the entire world feel alive and immersive. I think it's actually criminal that Schedule 1 wasn't nominated for Best Indie at the Game Awards. This game is really cool and really fun. Starting a drug cartel and making business boom while avoiding cops, putting some extra spice into your drugs like making people float, grow hair, or even change race. This game was really fun to play, and I never thought I'd like skateboarding around in a game until I played this. Mario Kart World wasn't a terrible game, but for $80 and after seeing the credit scenes after 2.5 hours, it just felt like there was a lot of useless fluff around all over the game. And even after doing all the mirrors for Grand Prix and Knockout Tour, I never really had any like intimate feelings towards any of the courses. It felt like more of like a road trip since there aren't really any turns in any of the courses, transitions or whatever. It is a nice game with friends and family, but I think if you're going for mileage as a solo player, I wish there was more you could do in this game. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is probably the most immersive game I have ever played. Not only has all those like survival features like hunger, thirst, and all that in a large, breathing, open world area with tons of quest lines and reactive NPCs, but what really impressed me were the tasks you had to do to like make a potion, or sharpen your sword, or even make a horseshoe. To make a horseshoe, you gotta go to blacksmith, dip a piece of metal into lava, bash it a couple of times with a hammer, then fan the flames and reheat the metal, then finally dip it into water to finish the whole process. And for me, it can take me about like 5 minutes to craft a sword, but it was surprisingly really enjoyable. I never got to finish it because there was a lot of intricate systems and there was a deep learning curve to learn all that. But I think the payout will be really enjoyable when you do know everything that the game offers. This game was really fun. The soundtrack was good, the new monsters were really fun, like Ray Dow, Lullabarina, and Arkfeld. But once you get to the end game, it's just not the same as it was for something like Monster Hunter World. Hopefully the DLCs will make the end game a lot more worthwhile, but at least of what's offered in the base game, it was a fun 40-hour adventure. Pure visual novel games aren't really my thing. I think for pure visual novel games, if the story is bad, then the game is bad. And fortunately, the story for this game is really, really good. I really like the different personalities and banter there is between all the characters. I did play all the episodes basically in one go, but I feel bad for those who played the episodes as they release because each episode do feel a bit short. And with 8 episodes, the average playtime is a little under 9 hours. I actually enjoyed Persona X. Yes, it's a gacha game, and yes, it's playing catch-up with the Chinese version of the game, but unfortunately, I do like Persona and all the Persona 5 spin-offs that they keep doing. I am playing them, I am enjoying them, I'm sorry. Too bad they don't have an English dub for this game, but I do think that if you like Persona for its story and premise, this mobile gacha game does a really good job in those areas. I mean, it's just more Elden Ring in a cooperative roguelike setting. With having just played Elden Ring last year from like the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, and with the roguelike trend going crazy nowadays, especially from indie games, I thought this was a pretty decent blend. It is rough around the edges, but I put in close to like 70 hours into this game because it was that fun and engaging, especially with friends. The graphics with the lighting, the smoke, and just the visual clutter really makes it an immersive experience, and what was cool, at least compared to a shooter like COD or Titanfall, is that this title promoted playing the objective and playing with other fellow soldiers. Sure, you can go on a solo flanking mission, but the odds of actually having success or impact was very small. And my only real complaints about the game is that the guns don't feel the greatest. I think it's mostly because of the recoil, maybe having more RNG luck makes it a bit more approachable for casuals, but it was one thing I didn't really like about the game. And while I wait for the new Fire Emblem game, this was a pretty fun game to play. I liked that even though it looks dated, it still feels good to play. The story was really, really good, and the voice acting for this game was top tier. I did find myself getting a bit lost towards the end because they assumed that I read all the lore pages. I never do. But nonetheless, the combat was fun, challenging, and enjoyable. I never thought I would enjoy this game as much as I did. I remember playing the beta with very, very low expectations, thinking I would just do a couple of races and be bored. Holy, this game is blazing fast and really fun. Going supersonic speed with the amazing tracks, amazing soundtrack, tons of loadout build potential, tons of characters, tons of car parts. There's just so much stuff in this game and it's so engaging. I never thought there would be ever a time where Sonic Racing is miles ahead of Mario Kart. It looks so simple and archaic and yet provides loads of fun. Tons of depth, tons of unlockables, so many different challenges. It was really fun unlocking everything. I think I'm at 70 hours total with almost all the unlockables done. All that's missing is doing like crazy weird challenges. And this won't be the only indie roguelike game we'll see on the list. After playing this, I don't see how anyone could go back to Borderlands 3. The gunplay is better, the movement is better, the story is better, the skills are better. Nearly everything about this game improved on every aspect of Borderlands 3. The only thing missing is a decent endgame loop, but I'm sure that will be solved after like a few more DLCs have been released. Now, I only really played through this game last year when it was in early access. I think when this game actually had its 1.0 release, I was busy playing through a different game, but I've been following along the updates, and at least based off my actual playtime on the early access version, this game is really, really good. It builds upon Hades 1 with more ways and avenues of getting stronger in between runs to where it makes each run really feel one step closer to having an insane run. From the Crossroads upgrade, the Calderon, the keepsakes, the Arcana cards, the weapons, and even the fact that there are 2 different paths you can take is insane. You can go down to the House of Hades or go up to Olympus, both perilous and fun in their own way. You don't really need to play Hades 1 to enjoy this, so if you haven't played Hades 2, I'd highly recommend it. Now, there might be some recency bias here, but this game is truly a blast. A casual third-person extraction shooter that feels very natural with all the encounters that you happen to come across. Whether it's hunting down drones, persuading another real-life player to fight a drone with you, or blatantly lying to someone that you won't shoot them, while you shoot them anyways, is super fun, especially with friends, and all they need to do is just keep pumping new toys and drones every other week or so, and this game might have a long-standing place in the multiplayer market.
Keep your eyes and ears open. And your feet.
This is such a gorgeous game, and I don't mean just Eve. Yes, Eve is really hot, and there's a lot of outfits you can get for her throughout the game. The soundtrack, the environments, dare I say, it's all stellar. The boss fights are cool, and I'm not really a person that does side quests, but I really went out of my way to actually do the side quests in this game. The story itself is pretty generic, I would say, and you can see the plot points and plot twists coming a mile away. But the way they tell the story and the way they flesh it out, the way they paced it was really, really good. And I think the sequel to this game is confirmed at this point, and I can't wait for that game to come out. Now, last year, this game actually made an appearance in my 2024 games, and it was placed pretty low. 23 out of 30 games, and my biggest complaint was the way that they tell the story, and in some cases, the story content itself. And now this year, with the overhaul improvements made into the 2.0 version of the game, it is spectacular. The main missions are really engaging, lots of action, all the characters are really fun to play as, great personalities. I think if you have played any gacha games or want to get into one, Wuthering Waves is the best one to get into at this moment, and I can't wait to explore the new region in the upcoming 3.0 arc. I think it was last year or the year before, but I remember playing Diablo 4 as my first ARPG of the genre, and I didn't have a great time with it, and I thought it was because of me not liking that type of game in general. But after playing Path of Exile 2, the problem wasn't me, it was Diablo. This game is amazing. You look at the skill tree, it's not a skill tree, it's a constellation. There's so much synergy between different attacks, and it's almost insane the amount of build crafting and experimentation you can do in this game. And yes, the game is technically in early access and will be free to play when it fully releases. But even for, I think it's $40 in the state that it's in right now, it still gives a fulfilling experience that really surprised me. I wouldn't be surprised if this game becomes a Game of the Year contender next year. Remember when Concord failed? The journalist said it was because arena hero shooters is a dead genre. Yeah, then Marvel Rivals happened and proved each and every single one of them wrong. In Marvel Rivals, what I really liked the most are the team-up abilities. When certain characters are being played at the same time, one or both will have an added ability. Maybe it's Jeff getting on Groot's back and just doing whatever. Maybe it's Hulk throwing Wolverine across the map. Or maybe it's Human Torch and Storm combining their ultimates into a gigantic fire NATO that decimates everyone. In this game, everyone is so overpowered that no one is overpowered. And it feels really fun to play as each and every single one of these characters and how their role is in a team and synergies between certain characters. And there are constant updates, which feels like something new every month. I mean, I think this game is by far better than Overwatch, and hopefully it stays that way. As someone who played Hollow Knight 1 and beat it a week before Silksong came out, it just felt like the perfect natural progression that you would expect out of a sequel. Especially with someone who is skillful and nimble like Hornet. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's grueling at times. Okay, maybe most of the time, but I still had a blast. The music, the environment, the boss fights, and the spectacle of all of it was a really good and fun and engaging experience. It's kind of insane to think that only 3 people worked on this type of masterpiece, and it's also insane that this game is only $20. Take that, AAA Studios. As someone that does not know what is going to happen, except for the era thing, this game was great. I was skeptical about the whole open world aspect, but it actually worked out perfectly. Tons of minigames, tons of material to collect, great areas. Yes, the pacing was a bit off in certain spots, but at least when the story needed it to pop, it went off like a firework. The combat changes they did were spectacular and really made you think who you wanted for in a team comp. And I thought it was pretty cool at times, especially against bosses, that it kind of felt like a turn-based game because I was constantly cycling through characters, mashing inputs, thinking 3 steps ahead and all that. And I feel very confident that the finale to this trilogy will also be a masterpiece. And I don't really know what's going to happen, and I can't wait. I know. I said Expedition 33 was not going to be high on the list. Well, you must see things as they are, not how you want them to be. And Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a masterpiece of this year. Now, in terms of new things in this game, it's not really anything special that I've seen, right? The plot twist is a natural JRPG thing where it goes berserk towards the end. The menu flare and the UI flare ripped straight out of Persona. Pairing attacks in a turn-based game is not new to me. Sea of Stars, I think it was like last year or the year before that, also had you pairing attacks in a turn-based setting. But the game does well in incorporating of all these elements into a very good, coherent, engaging experience. The story is also really good. I cried in the first hour of the game when Sophie died. I barely knew her for 10 minutes, and I cried when she was Gomage. The interactions and the dialogue between each character are very realistic and very convincing. The environments are really good, that you will catch yourself stopping and just staring far into the distance as if you're looking at a painting in a museum. The soundtrack is, wow, probably the best soundtrack of all time. I wish I could forget everything about this game and play it all over again and re-experience it as if it was my first time, because it was that good. If you were to play any singular game out of this list, it would be this game. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is my game of the year for 2025. But yeah, that's my ranking. I don't think I'll be playing this many games again next year, but that's what I said last year. But playing all these games has been really fun. There are a couple of games that I'm excited for next year, like Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and Tides of Annihilation. And so not only this year was full of bangers, but it also seems like next year is shaping up to be another string of bangers. I do plan on playing as many games as I can, so expect another video for next year for my 2026 games ranked. But in the meantime, make sure to like and subscribe, as I will be making more videos, more reviews, more tier lists, more streams, more reacts, and all that. Doing all this has been really fun for me, and I wish I could keep doing this. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.